आज 25 अगस्त 2023 को हम लामाकान में एक इवेंट करें जो है जिसका नाम था सेव उस्मानिया, और डिमोलिशन के पीछे जो कॉन्स्पिरेसी है उसके ऊपर आज बात हुई। तो तीन पैनलिस्ट थे, तीन स्पीकर्स थे। एक था मैं सिबौतुल्ला खान, और एक थे आर्किटेक्ट श्रीनिवास मूर्ति साहब, और जर्नलिस्ट यूनुस लसानिया। और इस पे डिस्कशन ये था कि लोगों के बीच में ये बहस चल रही कि इसको तोड़ना या नहीं तोड़ना। तो इसका मोटिव ये था मेन कि लोगों को मालूम होना देना कि तोड़ने का कोई सवाल ही नहीं है, क्योंकि इतनी बेहद नायाब बिल्डिंग है, इतनी पेशकीमती बिल्डिंग है हैदराबाद की हिस्ट्री में और यहाँ के लोकल लोगों के सेंटिमेंट्स में, कि इसको तोड़ना नहीं चाहिए। और साथ में साथ आर्किटेक्चरल प्रपोजल भी ये बताए कि इसको पुरानी बिल्डिंग को साबित रखते हुए बिना उसको कुछ डिमोलिशन करे उसके अतराफ 1000, 2000, 3000 बेड की बिल्डिंग कैसे बना सकते हैं, क्योंकि जो पूरा हॉस्पिटल का एरिया है वो कुल 26 एकड़ है, उसमें से 3 एकड़ की जो है वो पुरानी हेरिटेज बिल्डिंग की साइट है। तो बाकी के 23 एकड़ में आपको इत्मीनान से सुकून से एक बड़ी 3000 बेड मॉडर्न हॉस्पिटल फैसिलिटी तैयार कर सकते बिना ये हेरिटेज बिल्डिंग को छेड़े। तो ये ताल्लुक से आज हमारी बातचीत थी लामाकान पर।
तो भाई ओपिनियन क्या है, उस्मानिया हॉस्पिटल को सेव करना है या गवर्नमेंट अगर डिमोलिश करी तो कर देना है?
अब देखिए, इसका डिमोलिशन के वास्ते तो हम नहीं है, वी डोंट स्टैंड फॉर डिमोलिशन। हमारा ये है कि हॉस्पिटल 100 साल हो गए और ऑफिशियली ये हेरिटेज लिस्ट में आ जाती, और इसका जो आर्किटेक्चरल स्टाइल है ऐसा नायाब है कि आज तक कोई इसको रेप्लिकेट नहीं कर सकता। तो ये एक ख़ास वजह है। दूसरी वजह ये है कि हॉस्पिटल के साथ तो पहली बात कोई प्रॉब्लम है नहीं होती। जो भी प्रॉब्लम है हॉस्पिटल के साथ पानी आने की, और पूरी सरफेस लेवल है, आपको स्ट्रक्चर में कुछ जितनी डिफ़िकल्टी नहीं है। आपको ये मामूली सी मरम्मत में और वाटर प्रूफिंग वगैरह फिक्स करने से आपकी बिल्डिंग यूजेबल हो सकती है। जो आपको एक आलिशान बिल्डिंग तैयार है, जो आपको मुख्तसर सा खर्चा करके आपको वापस यूज़ में ला सकते हैं हॉस्पिटल की तरह ही। हम ये नहीं बोल रहे कि इसको कुछ और चीज़ बनाओ, म्यूजियम बनाओ या कुछ और बनाओ। हॉस्पिटल जो है हॉस्पिटल की तरह यूज़ करो, उसमें मामूली सी मरम्मत करें तो आपको वापस हॉस्पिटल इस्तेमाल में आ जाती है। तो ये है क्योंकि आप पूरा सब तोड़ के इसमें आप नया कंस्ट्रक्शन करेंगे तो उतने जब तक कंस्ट्रक्शन चलेगा उतने दिन ये लोग कहाँ जाएंगे? जो आ रहे डिस्ट्रिक्टों से आते, बाहर से गरीबा आते शहर के, वो कहाँ जाएंगे? इतने दिन आप इतने सारे पेशेंट्स को कहाँ शिफ्ट करेंगे? ये सवाल है। और इतनी इसमें आपको इन लोगों को इतनी तकलीफ होंगी, या हम लोगों को तकलीफ देना नहीं चाह रहे। ये हॉस्पिटल को साथ ही साथ रखते हुए जो नए ब्लॉक्स है उसमें इतनी प्रॉब्लम है, तो उसको आप रेस्टोर भी नहीं कर सकते, उसको रेनोवेशन भी नहीं कर सकते, उसको तो डिमोलिशन ही करना पड़ता। फिर भी ये बिल्डिंग की इतनी स्ट्रांग है कि आज तक इन्हें अपने आप पे गिरी नहीं, जबकि लोग इंतजार कर रहे हैं कि अपने आप गिर जाना ताकि वो आके उसके ऊपर कुछ बना सके।
I was involved with the Manzil movement, and I would like to tell you that the Eragada Hospital, the TB hospital, as you all know, Nawab Fakrumud at the time planted like 6,000 new trees. And I would like to bring up the issue of the environmental protection of Osmania and its architecture, which is eco-friendly. I mean, you just have to look at the huge windows and verandas, and then the tamarind tree area, and then the Osmania Park. I mean, no modern hospital is this eco-friendly, number one. And I think we should get into the environmental side of it. And the second thing is that I find that saving our heritage, the officials who are selling real estate and breaking everything down, I think they should realize that the new secretariat could be demolished in 50 years, just as our heritage is being demolished. This is very important, because if you do not have any respect for heritage, everything is vulnerable. Anything you build, your own home, could be destroyed within 10, 15, 20 years by whoever is in power. And this, I would like you to focus on these two issues, the environmental issue and the way of the architecture, which is exceptional. In those days, they didn't have AC and they didn't have fans and so on. So they built for the environment. And I think that this is very, very important that the government realizes that nothing modern, these little boxes, and in hospitals, which are like ghettos nowadays, modern ghettos, I think they should realize that you cannot demolish exceptional architecture like that. Number one, the city skyline, you can't just destroy. Look at the White House. It's nothing compared to Osmania. Right? Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
I think you have made a very important point.
Thank you so much.
Regarding land. Out of my experience of being in the practice for the last 30 years, not a single structural engineer anywhere in the world has been able to give us a guarantee today saying that the modern buildings will stand more than 100 years. Because somehow in those calculations that figure never comes. Whereas in heritage buildings, if you look at it, whether they were the forts or the palaces or what we have in Hyderabad, I don't know whether they ever did any mathematical calculation to establish life of building, but they have been standing there for the last 200, 300, 500 years. So I don't know why we want to even doubt the strength of such buildings. That is number one. And number two, India being such a rich in terms of architecture heritage, we are very familiar with the fact that there are hundreds of heritage hotels in this country. And all of these heritage hotels have been converted into the palaces which were converted. So obviously, how did air conditioning happen there? Another very interesting aspect which I find is that as an architect I can share with you that the design of a hotel and a hospital is exactly the same. Because you have rooms and you have large areas like the banquet halls and the restaurants and function halls and all that. Same things you have the inpatient rooms, and then you have the large halls which are like the OPDs and the diagnostic centers and the operation theatres and all that. So format wise is the same. So if heritage buildings can be converted into hotels, the hospital, it was anyway designed as a hospital. So where is the issue? And second, mechanical devices can be very well implanted into even these heritage buildings without any problem, and they will work very fine. Not an issue at all. The best example, many people argue that how can you air condition a heritage building because the ceiling heights are very high and the air conditioning cost would be too high. All of us go to airports, we travel nowadays, all these modern airports which are at least 30-40 feet in ceiling height. Have you ever felt hot? Obviously they are all air conditioned. How are they air conditioned? That the new technology is there which will give you cool air at your height, which is about 2 meters height from the floor. Rest of the floor height above is generally hot air. You will not realize that's the invent of technology that we have really gone into. So why can't we apply that in a heritage building which has got 14, 15, 16 feet ceiling height? So that's absolutely not an issue. I think in my opinion, the issue is not that whether we cannot restore it and convert it into a hospital. The issue somewhere is that we don't want to do it. That's the issue. I'm talking we as the government or the people who take the decision. So when we met doctors in 15, obviously they were concerned. And I think their concerns are very legitimate because they are doctors and they need to offer good service to the patients. And they need definitely state-of-art facilities for sure. It's just that nobody has told them that this building can provide that. General impression has been given that in heritage building you can't do that because it's falling. But I'm saying once you stop things falling, can you not do something about it? You can. So I think somewhere, if you really ask a doctor as a citizen, as an individual, he would also like to have the heritage building there. It's just that his concern is that given the situation right now, he is not able to offer the best services to his patient, and that's one of the reasons where he doesn't want to keep it. So he's saying remove it. I mean, in fact, even today, in the last meeting that we had at Lamakan, there were a few doctors who had come, and they had said that, you give us a new hospital wherever you want to do. We are not really concerned in that sense with the old hospital building. You want to keep it, you want to remove it, that's your idea. But can you give us a new hospital or not is their concern. I think which is a very valid and legitimate concern because that is for the good of the people. But the question here we are saying is that new hospital possible by keeping the old building intact or not is the question we are asking. Can we not have a modern hospital building? So size-wise, as I demonstrated, it is possible to have, but also style-wise. Another example which we can really look at is the Taj Hotel on Mumbai Gateway of India, where you have the heritage block and the tower block, which is tower block came much later, but at least the architect was sensible enough to copy or let's say get inspired by the old building and give some elements which kind of match with it. So I'm sure we have enough talent amongst architects of the town, of the country, who would do a good job if given to design a new modern building right next to a heritage building. So that also I think we should not have that doubt on that.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic.
I can't tell you a straight answer. तेरे बोलता हूँ मेरे कहने भी exact answer नहीं है. Grudge. I think, see, if you look at before the state's formation, as maybe some of you might be knowing, there used to be a committee called the HCC, Heritage क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Conservation Committee. Yeah. So there used to be civil society members also on it. There were activists also on it. There was some discussion generally before taking into consideration कि कुछ तोड़ना नहीं तोड़ना क्या करना. गवर्नमेंट के बाहर 4 लोगों से बात करें तो उन्होंने बोलते हैं कि नहीं भाई ये पुराना है ये नहीं करना चेंज करना है. If you earlier we have a new heritage law which is a little weird because it does not, it actually excludes a lot of buildings from being demolished. Now अब वो कई को नया बिल पास करे वो मेरे को नहीं मालूम. But if you look at 2020 के बाद से क्या हो रहा 2020 में जब बारिश का पानी अंदर आया वो ट्रेन की वजह से सब लोग तोड़ लो क्या बहुत पुराना हो गया ये बहुत पुराना है जाके देखे करे etc. So one of the interesting things was our Hyderabad MP basically said building जरूरी है मेरे को नया building है. It's a very fair argument that people need a new hospital building there. I can understand maybe as a party there might be some demand from local people also कि हमारे को hospital होना है बोल के. It's fine. So थोड़ा फ्लिप फ्लॉप है. 2015 में चीफ मिनिस्टर गोज एंड सेज छोड़ देंगे लोग गुस्से में आ गए देन छोड़ दिए. फिर 2020 में ये हुआ देन एमपी सेज पुराना गैप हो गया मेरे को नया दो. देन सम आई थिंक लास्ट ईयर ही सेड देयर वाज अ डिस्कशन विद द गवर्नमेंट वी विल सेव द ओल्ड वन एंड वी विल बिल्ड अ न्यू वन आल्सो. उसके बाद से वी डोंट नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड वेयर द डिस्कशन वेंट बिकॉज ऑफ व्हिच इन स्पाइट ऑफ सेइंग दैट दे विल सेव इट सडनली दे सेड नहीं पूरा वो हाई कोर्ट में एफिडेविट में आए बाद मालूम हुआ कि ऐसा बिठा के विल डिमोलिश. नाउ दैट we will know only as the court case goes, as the government is asked by the court कि जब आप बोली टाइप को तोड़ना जब उन्होंने बोलते जब वो अंदर किसी को नहीं मालूम. But generally, if you talk to people in the area, everybody of there is the opinion that there is a real estate gang waiting to construct new buildings to get projects. I am saying this because you see the land prices in Hyderabad shooting up. I mean, it is a little अजीब है क्या नहीं बोलते. Government is selling lands, auctioning of lands. We have the bird like I said 450 करोड़ का फ्लाईओवर है तो नहीं तोड़ना बड़ी बात नहीं है. रिपेयर करने का if there was for example a tourism angle to this that the state was profiting from it कल बनाना शुरू कर देते. Okay, so and I think a very good blueprint of how projects can be done is the Qutub Shahi tombs because in a fairly, I would say that probably he was not in a bad state. The Qutub Shahi was about 20 years ago. Maybe he might have been there much more than me at that point of time. But there was a stepwell. Qutub Shahi tomb में stepwell तोड़ दिया था अंदर. In fact, 2013 में they saved that, they restored that, they made all the stepwells functional. It's a very big. In fact, UNESCO were asking. So UNESCO actually gave an award to the stepwells in the Qutub Shahi tomb for the fantastic work that was going on there. So. ग्रज की बात नहीं है. आई थिंक मे बी देयर इज दिस सेंटिमेंट के ये बिल्डिंग इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. प्रॉब्ली मे बी देयर इज अ लैक ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन के ये बिल्डिंग नहीं तोड़ना बोल के. इनफैक्ट यू सी विद इन पॉलिटिक्स ऑल्सो पीपल से दैट हैदराबाद मुस्लिम हेरिटेज इज बीइंग डिस्ट्रॉयड and clearly nobody now has an issue if this hospital is destroyed because this also is part of the Muslim heritage. I won't say it's part of Muslim heritage but it was built by the last Nizam के time. He was a Muslim king. So जो लोग बोल रहे तोड़ना उनको ही पूछना उसके बारे में. So I think that is the best answer I can give you. In fact, doctors are the most vocal people who are pro demolition. कई को तोड़ना बोल दो अरे पानी गिर रहा बोल के बोलते हैं हाँ पानी गिर रहा. But nobody seems to ask the government के ऊपर से पानी कहीं गिर रहा कहीं को नहीं बना रहे. I mean, it is very sad that when you hear that सर के ऊपर किसी के ऊपर दीवार गिर गया बोलो तो I am not saying no, it's very very unfortunate thing, it should not happen. But if you ever have, I mean, God forbid none of you have to go to Gandhi Hospital for anything. But कभी अगर आपका जाना हुआ तो देखो वहाँ पर there are certain areas where you can't even walk. मेरे घर के पीछे है, I know how it is. So it's not like Gandhi Hospital is a great example of a state hospital. There are other state hospitals also. Apple क्या है वो one is near